what what does a healthy let's share what a healthy relationship looks like, because I think some people unfortunately have grown up in an environment of domestic violence, and so it's very much normalized for them. My mom and my dad fought all the time. They stuck in there. That's real love.
Right.
She stayed.
Exactly.
They've been together 50 years and they're so sweet to each other now. I just hang in there. All of these different scenarios that make it okay. It's not okay.
Right.
Let's share what a healthy relationship looks like. And they are real people. People have healthy relationships.
There are people that have healthy relationships, but we can't talk about healthy relationships unless we talk about what you just said. A lot of times our models are not necessarily healthy, but they become normalized. And sometimes our parents can still be together and they could be committed to being committed, but they weren't committed to a healthy relationship. So the first thing I always like to educate our young girls is just because grandma or mom has been in her relationship with dad or grandpa for 30 or 35 years, it doesn't necessarily mean it was healthy. So first we have to define that. Commitment doesn't necessarily mean I'm healthy, because I could be committed to eating ice cream. Doesn't mean it's healthy for me. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is understanding, without a doubt, we look for love where we also feel the most deficit. So when we kind of look at the system, not to ever blame us as parents, but we look at the system, what is it that we have to be good enough parents for our children? So when we look at teens, we also have to look at the environment that they come from, the relationships that they were exposed to, the relationships they have with mom or dad. If mom was a single mom in the home, I'm not saying all of those things define, but they can make her a little bit more susceptible to being in certain types of relationships. Because you have, for example, last year there was someone that I was working with that was in a domestic violent relationship, and she was only 14. But when we look at the situation, she had two parents in the household, so it wasn't a stereotypical, mom working. She had two parents in the household who were career professionals. And she had a high standard. They had a high standard on her to perform academically and to do all these other sports. So I just want to dispel the myth. It's not someone who's neglected or someone who doesn't necessarily feel loved or sees violence. Sometimes it could be the other end, is that we're not necessarily knowing how to love, but we're learning how to teach our children how to perform. Because then also in the relationship, she's also going to learn how to find a soft space, because I can't have a soft space home because my parents are putting pressure on me to get the good grades or to do well in volleyball and do all these things, because potentially the parents themselves come from a different generation. So then now we roll over and we create a different problem. So when we look at a healthy relationship, there's two hallmarks that I always try to teach teens in a very practical sense, and that's honesty and respect. And first helping them decide what honesty is about. Because sometimes we can have these ideals of what honesty and respect look like. So respect for some people, or teens in particular, will say, well, then if I want to do something, he just needs to respect it. Okay, well, what does all that mean? So we have to unpack that. So can I be honest, meaning can I be myself? We break it down very simple.
Being authentic.
Being authentic to yourself, but also can I be myself in the eyes of my boyfriend or the person I'm dating? Because the first sign of the unhealthiness is he's trying to change who you are. So we look at the healthy relationship as I'm showing up as who I am, and I'm able to be myself, and he likes me for who I am and not who he wants me to be.
So that can be a red flag right there.
A huge red flag.
If he's trying to change you. Red flag.
So when we look at so to go down that path really quick, so when we look at the signs of what potentially, when we look at violent relationships with teens, we kind of look back at the red flags that they missed, which is how we can now identify them. And one of those is trying to change the partner, because sometimes the domestic violence isn't always a male to the female. Sometimes it is a female to male. So I'm trying to be gender, not trying to be gender specific. But then if he's trying to change you and say that, you know what, you need to dress like this, or you need to do this stuff. Control is usually the first sign. Control and trying to change something, because if the red flag, the healthy relationship will tell them is the marker, is I can be myself. I can wear what I want to wear. I can be myself because that's how he met me. So I'm showing up my authentic self, and that's accepted. So the other side, the red flag, would be immediately he's trying to control, he's trying to change. Because especially when we're educating our teens, we have to speak in a language in which they can understand. So, and those are those easy signs. And then the control will start to increase, right? Because if you're saying, oh, okay, well now, yeah, maybe I shouldn't wear that color. Maybe I shouldn't wear my skirt that short. And in the beginning, it seems very helpful, but then it starts to increase over time.
Absolutely. And respect.
Yes. So respect says, and this is what it looks like. These are those examples we'll give our teens. Well, I'm going to meet my parents after volleyball practice to go have dinner. Well, no, you can't do that. No, well, your parents can wait. This is a real example. And then the struggle begins where he's not going to respect not only your time, but who you are, or even the obligations you have. Why are you in volleyball anyway? Volleyball is stupid, right? You start seeing those things. He starts, and I'm just using it, could go either way. He can start tearing down the things that you are, and then you start questioning it, because teens in particular, that not all teens, but teens in particular that are more susceptible to violent behaviors by their partner also have what we call the blossoming of codependency. So that means they learn to put other people before them. And don't we teach our children that to a certain degree, especially if we grow up in a church, right? We learn to have a servant heart and to sacrifice. But if we get those kind of messages twisted, we can get them twisted.
Yeah, big time.